Grand Rising Brave Awakened Ones. It is the 9th of April 2022, early morning here on the East Coast. And I just want to share this plan that I've devised. And I just want to put it out there in the universe. This is nothing to meditate on or go deep in or anything like that. It's very lighthearted. It's just a passing thought. If you think about it and chuckle, that's enough to make it manifest. Okay? And it may sound silly at first, but think of it as God has a great sense of humor. We all know how God has a great sense of humor. So that's how I'm playing. Like, hey, source creator, Father, Mother, God, I know you got a wacky sense of humor. So I'm just putting it out there along with some people who second the motion on how we'd like to see something unfold. Okay? And who knows? Hey, I'm just putting it out there. Okay? If you come into agreement, you do. If you don't, you don't. But I'm thinking, this came up while I was having a conversation this morning with Miss Embracing Light. She's one of Team V. And I was like, gee, wouldn't it be great? Never mind, because I did do an NRV a couple of years ago on Pence being the first big deep state arrest that would reverberate around the world. That's what I saw in a remote view. But I was like, God, wouldn't it be funnier? Because the funny would lighten things up and not make it so traumatic, but it would reverberate around the world and shock enough people to wake up, and there'd be no hiding it. And I have this sack of potatoes here. This is my sack of potatoes plan, as I call it. You know, you have a big sack of potatoes here. And if you pull that one string on the sack of potatoes, all the potatoes come falling down. Think of this sack around all the potatoes as this masked man. Brandon over here. Think of that. This masked man. This masked man. Think of this mask on his face as the sack of potatoes, as the sack that's around all the potatoes. Think of all the potatoes that's being held together as the deep state. All the dark ones, not just the deep state, but the dark ones that bosses everything. Think of this mask as, looks like the same color too, almost actually, as the sack holding in all the potatoes. Now, how glorious, think about this, how glorious would it be if Brandon over here trips like he has a propensity of doing anyway, trips as he's walking, as he's saying, my butt's been wiped, and he's walking. Imagine this picture, okay? He's walking to the helicopter or to his little plane, and all the reporters are there and everything. Blah, 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 all the fake news. It's live, whatever. It's on their channel. And he's walking to the plane. My butt's been wiped. My butt's been wiped. And his handler, wife, Jill, is walking behind him, and he trips and falls. And then as he's getting up, this mask shifts on his face. And next thing you know, he comes up to the mic and he's talking to all the fake news, and everyone's like, because like it's been slipped. The mask slipped. It ripped a little bit. And he's still talking like he has no freaking clue. And the people behind him have no idea what's going on. Okay? And then the news is like, oh, like they're talking, and then next thing you know, they're trying to talk, they're trying to cover it up, and then next thing you know, all the Secret Service come in front of him and try to cover him up and everything like that. But it's too late. The clip goes around the world. So then if you ignore this, even a blind person, if somebody describes to a blind person what happened, it would trigger them awake. A 2-year-old would be triggered. A 6-month-old would look at that and start screaming and crying because a monster. Right? We all know there's an actor underneath here. Right? Imagine that. we'd be laughing our asses off. All the anons, the light workers who knew, because there are plenty of light workers who are still, woke tarts, as I found out. It's so disappointing. Or some who are, people who are of the light, people who are star seeds, but who's still asleep, who don't want to wake up, who don't want to see the dark. And believe me, I just broke it off completely with my not so normie BFF, who's no more my friend, because of her obsession with Disney. She's in the princess mode. She also is very 3D about money, into labels and stuff like that. And I just don't want that around me anymore. And she screwed me over on a business deal. And it's like, hey, but I needed the money, but it's like, no, that's disgusting behavior. And you have to realize, even if somebody they are, a star seed, that doesn't make them good. Okay. And also it doesn't mean that they want to wake up fully. I know a couple of light workers who don't want to wake up fully. It's very disappointing because they yearn for their 3D life because they're cool and popular, or they got to walk around with their Gucci purse or their Louis Vuitton bag, and that's what they yearn for. It is what it is. Maybe this would be enough to shock them, if they still want to be stuck in the 3D mode. Who knows? But if this doesn't get you, this thing slipping, I mean, I don't know what would. And it's a very non-violent way of doing things. And yeah, the Pence thing that I saw, that'd be great, exposure around the world, but that would take a lot. You know what I'm saying? It would take too much thinking for some folks, to be honest with you. Humanity. So this slipping and falling, a 2-year-old would get it. You know what I'm saying? You do have to break it down real simple. Oh my God, wouldn't it be right up your alley, your sense of humor, to do something like this? So let's just put it out there. Let's think about this. And every time we look at Brandon over here, Biden, walking around and talking, just be like, oh, wouldn't it be good? One good win, knocks him over and he gets up and the mask is half ripped off, or even slipped off enough for everyone to see. And it get out there, that would free everybody. This sack of potatoes would be opened, and everyone supporting and keeping that sack, this sack right here, they'd all fall out, and there'd be no hiding it. The Obamas, Nutsacky, his press secretary, I call her Nutsacky. I even got it, Jen, whatever, the redhead, Chucky's bride. Anyone, Camel Toe Harris, all of them, they could not deny. They could try all they want and say, oh, we didn't know. Oh my God, what kind of plan is this? No. All the Holly weirdos, the news, all the fake news, they will all fall. And then 45, the real POTUS, can just waltz right in. And the majority of the people who did not vote for him, they voted against him. They didn't vote for the sack over here. They voted against him. And especially since, they're pushing war. He's pushing war. His handlers are pushing war. Everything's a mess right now in the U.S. Inflation, blah, blah. They're going to be like, hey, Orange Man, not that bad. So he could just waltz right in. Waltz right back with Amendment 22. That's not a problem. And it's a very nonviolent way. And we get to chuckle all the way there. And if you still want to try to spin this when it's right in your face, then honestly, you're just too dumb to live at that point. But I think it's a great plan. I think it's lovely, and I hope God hears me, and whoever seconds the motion, I hope, give me big ups, give me thumbs up on that, make your comments. I think it's a great plan. I think it's hysterical. We could laugh at it as all the potatoes fall out of the sack. There's no hiding it. That one string is pulled, all the potatoes fall out. They're all complicit. They're all trapped. That's it. It's done. It's done. As my granddaughter would say, it's done. It's done. It's done. So I don't know. What do you guys think? All right. Namaste. Bye. Much love.